employ certain, physical strategies coping, will try to cope up with it by employing certain psychological, physical strategies. But see, what happens is that, as I told you, when we experience stress, certain systems will get shut down, and certain systems will start to function twice, rise, four times their capacity, and that is also not good. So being in a continuous state of alertness, and your blood pressure is always high, heartbeat is continuously, there is increased heart rate, and then your breathing rate. See, when you are under stress, when we experience stress, we hyperventilate, so even the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide is disturbed. So, and there will be negative long-term effects of experienced by us. So as I told you, adrenaline glands get stimulated, so they release corticoids, that is stress hormones like adrenaline. If too much of adrenaline, too much of epinephrine, norepinephrine is there, continuously released in our body, it's not good for our heart. And your digestive system gets your digestive system gets disturbed. Your and all these systems that I'm going to mention, like digestive system, reproductive system, your growth, your tissue repair which takes place, normal immune system responses, inflammatory system, all these systems, they get disturbed, and which in turn can lead to a healthy body getting shut down. It can lead to exhaustion. Okay, so that is what a stage of exhaustion is. So after an extended period of stress, the body goes into its final stage of GAS, known as the exhaustion stage. And at this stage, what happens? The body has depleted its resources by continually trying to, recover and failing to recover from the initial alarm stage, then the adaptation stage, and ultimately it goes into a state of exhaustion, and also even death. A person can develop many stress related health conditions, like now it has been proven that cardiac illnesses, even cancer is related to stress. So there is a direct link between cancer and stress. There is a direct link between people experiencing. So nowadays, like we also call them as stress illnesses now, like heart disorders, health. Cardiac illnesses, blood pressure, hypertension, all these illnesses are directly linked with stress. So exhaustion says what happens once your body reaches exhaustion stage, the person's body is no longer equipped to fight stress, and they may experience tiredness, depression, anxiety, and also feeling that unable to cope. And the person is not able to find ways to manage stress levels at this stage. They can develop stress-related health conditions. So this is what I said general adaptation syndrome is. First step is like initial reaction. The moment you experience something stressful, the moment you experience stress, it triggers a physiological response. And then if the stress continues, the body will try its best to adapt to it, and will try to cope up with the stressor, will try to, show some sort of resistance, adaptation to it. But then if the stress persists for longer, and your body is continuously, is in a state of alertness continuously, your systems are being worked to the maximum capacity, then it can lead to a state of exhaustion where all your resources are depleted, and which in turn can lead to physical health problems and also psychological health related issues. So factors are like anything which is experienced as stressful will trigger your general adaptation syndrome. That is, first is your alarm reaction, then your resistance or adaptation phase, and then comes your exhaustion phase. Okay. So what are the symptoms of GAS? These are some of the physical and psychological symptoms: fatigue, irritability, you might not be difficulty concentrating, sleeping, hair loss. All these are different responses. And the effect of, as I mentioned, chronic stresses, you will experience significant cardiovascular events, and then it has been linked that high incidence of death in the first years of retirement for those not prepared for it. So sudden stressful events can also lead to health related issues. Okay. And sometimes people are experiencing migraines nowadays. There is a increase in people complaining about headaches. Okay. High incidence of illnesses during holidays. I cannot go, I mean, we can talk so much more on this, but see, stress is, even if something is See, what we say is even if something positive is happening, can also lead to stress. For example, I give you, like, you get a promotion, you will experience stress. If you are changing house, constructing a new house, it is stressful. Marriage is also stress. So it's not just negative events. Sometimes the positive events can also lead to their own level of stress, and there are a lot of health effects. So these are so many medical conditions which are caused or aggravated by stress. All these medical conditions like chronic pain, migraines, ulcer, heartburn, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, asthma, PMS, obesity, infertility, autoimmune diseases, all these are linked to stress. And emotional effects would be people who experience stress, long-term stress, chronic stress, will have mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and substance abuse. Okay, so I will share this. You can read this. Okay, so somebody asked me about what is relaxation response. See, relaxation response is opposite to of stress response, obviously, because as soon as but the same button which triggers the stress response, you can use the same thought. You see, the thought is what is triggering the interpretation of an event as stressful, as threatening to your well-being, is triggering stress response. So researchers, especially mental health professionals, have found that they believe that we can use our mind to change our this stress response, that is this fight and flight response. Now you would ask how. So as soon as you decide, as soon as you use self-soothing or you use self-talk, as soon as you decide that a situation is no longer threatful to me, as soon as I tell to my mind that it is not threatful, take a deep breath, I can calm down. This heartbeat is increasing because I'm hyperventilating. I'm interpreting this event as threat to me. If I will just take deep breathing, if I'll just do deep breathing, my body will calm down. If I tell to myself that, this situation is no longer dangerous to me, no longer threatful to me, the moment you tell this to your mind, the brain stops sending signals to your brainstem. That is, the brain stop sending signals to your hypothalamus. The moment, so the thought which triggered flight and flight response, you use your mind to calm yourself down. Like you would tell to a scared child, if a child is scared, we will actually try to tell that child, no, it's not such a scary thing. There's nothing to fear. Come here and see. Similarly, if you start to speak to yourself, so the same thought, if you change the thought, so as soon as you decide that this is no longer dangerous, the brain will stop sending signals to your brainstem. Okay, will stop sending panic messages to your nervous system. And then minutes after your danger stops, after these signals they stop, the moment you tell to your mind it's nothing is threatening to me, it's just an interpretation, and the moment you say that to your mind, the signals will stop. And the moment the signals will stop, the fight and flight response will also burn out, will stop. Okay, so you can use your mind to change your physiological responses to stress. So that is what we call it as relaxation response. So if a thought can trigger stress response, if an interpretation of an event or a situation or something, there can be a real danger or there can be a perceived danger also. If you interpret something as a threat to you and interpret that I'll not be able to cope up, so similarly, you can, replace that thought, or you can indulge in positive self-talk and calm yourself down. The same mind can be used to trigger stress, and the same mind can be used to trigger relaxation response. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what relaxation response is. Relaxation response is, same mechanisms are in work. Stress response will send signals to your nervous system to prepare for the danger. And relaxation is the same mind. If you you will start to soothe your brain, to indulge in self-talk and tell to your brain, no, nothing is dangerous, everything is fine, there is no danger in front of me. Immediately, the same signals, these signals will stop. Your mind will calm down, your nervous system will stop sending these messages, and the fight and flight response will burn itself out. Okay, so that is when, like, you take deep breaths and tell to yourself there's nothing dangerous. You'll have a relaxation response. That is what relaxation response is. Okay, so there are certain so for us to understand stress, how to manage it, you also need to know what are the warning signs. So body gives you warning signs before entering into the stress mode. So there are three common ways that people respond when they are overwhelmed by stress. One is like they'll have an angry, agitated response, or they will second way would be they will withdraw into a depressed state. They will withdraw into themselves. They'll cut themselves off from people. Okay, and
Recording in progress.
And the last is third is both a tense and a frozen stress response. That is, they will either they will freeze under pressure and feel like they will not be able to do anything. If it will feel as if they are paralyzed. But under the surface they will be extremely agitated. So there are four categories where that is cognitive, emotional, physical, and behavioral categories, which shows, like, you can see signs and symptoms under these categories, which can indicate that a person is under stress. Under cognitive, what are the cognitive symptoms would be? Of stress would be a person will not be able to remember things, forgetting things very easily. Because see what happens when you're under stress, you cannot concentrate on things because a lot of things are going on in your mind. If you cannot concentrate on anything, you will not be able to pay attention. If we don't pay attention, we will not remember. So all these things are linked. So you will have memory problems, indecisiveness, inability to concentrate, trouble thinking clearly, poor judgment, seeing only the negative, like, very pessimistic attitude, anxious racing thoughts. So these are all cognitive symptoms. Emotional symptoms are moodiness, agitation, short temper, getting irritable all the time, restlessness, person not able to relax, feeling tense, feeling overwhelmed, sense of loneliness. And physical symptoms would be a person would experience headaches or backaches, muscle tension and stiffness. See, these are all physical symptoms which are also triggered when a person is experiencing fight and flight response. You've heard of people, like, they say, see, when I'm under stress now, suddenly my stomach will be very upset. And once that I'm done with that situation, my stomach automatically, magically corrects itself. As for some people, they will start to, sweat a lot when they are under stress. So different people will experience different types of physiological or physical symptoms of stress. They'll start to eat more, or or they will stop eating. They will have sometimes they will sleep. Their sleep will also get affected. They'll not be able to sleep. Frequent colds would be their immunity is affected. As I told you, if you experience continuous stress, your immunity is going to go down. Then you will not be able to fight any infections. Behavioral symptoms would be eating more or less, sleeping either too much or too little. You'll be isolating yourself from others, procrastinating, neglecting responsibilities. Sometimes they will indulge in negative. These are different ways of people trying to cope up with the stress. And and the list which I've made here, which comes under behavioral symptoms, they are all negative ways of coping with stress. They will sometimes people will use alcohol, cigarettes, drugs. According to them, that helps them to relax. But in turn, is a negative way of coping. Nervous habits, teeth grinding, overdoing activities, overreacting to unexpected problems, picking fights with others. These are all different behavioral symptoms. And with this, I've finished the unit. I hope,
Ma'am,
yeah.
how to cope up with this cognitive symptoms means like how to cope up when we have this kind of stress levels, when we know memory problems are happening and this is and inability to concentrate. This and all, this will happen because of our thought process. It may be before the examination or any other time. Even in the emotional symptoms like moodiness, when we are not okay with the decision taken by the others, like physical symptoms like headache or back pain, even behavior symptoms. When stress impacts, how to cope up with these kind of means like stress warnings?
See, that is what comes under stress management. So as I told you, opposite of stress is relaxation. So for the physiological responses, see what happens is that when we are under stress, So when there is a real threatful situation, when you're facing real life, you're facing a threat to your life, the body would be automatically giving you that boost of energy. You would actually not be paying attention. Your whole focus will be on managing that threat. And once you're dealt with it, you'll come out of it. But if it is a situation, you are in a continuous stressful situation, or you interpret something as a threatful to you, then also it triggers fight and flight response. And what happens with fight and flight response is your heartbeat increases, your breathing rate increases. And when you are under stress or anxiety, we start to breathe incorrectly. So when a person is breathing incorrectly, what happens is that there is an imbalance of, you are taking in, there is a lot of more of carbon dioxide. You're not releasing carbon dioxide, and there is a increase in levels of carbon dioxide. So what happens? The person will, start to experience headache. Okay, because the brain is not getting enough oxygen. He or she will start to experience muscle pain in the neck or in the back, because they are keeping themselves very stiff. So all these are physiological responses triggered by fight and flight response. So the best way to cope up with physiological responses, first step is to immediately correct your breathing. That is, you can use deep breathing exercises here. Deep breathing will serve two purposes. One is, when you are breathing deeply, or when you are breathing correctly, it will correct the balance of oxygen in the body. So your body will slowly, steadily start to relax. Your heartbeat will come down. And when you're focusing on breathing correctly, mind cannot do two things at one time. So either it has to think about those threatening thoughts, or help you with the task of breathing correctly. So what happens here, that you're shifting your attention away from these stressful thoughts to focusing on, I have to breathe correctly. So when you are doing deep breathing, it not only relaxes you physically, it also helps you to calm down emotionally or mentally. So deep breathing is the best thing which you can do when you are under stress. Second is meditation is also very helpful. And third is, talking to somebody. What elders or people have always said, problem shared is problem halved. And that is true for stress also. And also, employing positive coping strategies, such as, like, as I mentioned, uh, asking for help from other people, tapping sources which are available around you, and not isolating yourself. Excuse me. Not isolating yourself. Keeping in touch with the people around you. So when you start to, you asked about the memory problems and all that. So that is linked with thinking. So when I am under a lot of stress, and especially people who experience anxiety and stress, they indulge in a lot of negative thinking. Okay, so what you can help them is, like, there are different cognitive behavioral techniques available. The behavioral techniques would be, as I mentioned, helping the person to, teaching them deep breathing exercises. That is a very good behavioral technique to manage stress. Teaching them some muscle relaxation techniques, like progressive muscle relaxation, and teaching them some form of, nowadays mindfulness meditation is also been proven to be very effective with people with stress, experiencing stress. So these are all different behavioral techniques. And also, like, sharing, talking their problems out with somebody, seeking help, seeking psychological help. Cognitive techniques would be helping the person with cognitive restructuring is a technique which we teach, where, like, you teach the person how to replace negative automatic thoughts, and replacing them with adaptive thoughts. So that is one of the cognitive techniques which we use. And also help them in understanding that, you see, you cannot teach people to stop their thoughts. Stopping thought is not possible. But what you can help them to understand is, I don't have to indulge each and every thought. So by using cognitive techniques, different cognitive techniques, like, it starts off with thought diary, and then making them aware of their thoughts. Okay, and what are the beliefs which they, these thoughts, these negative thoughts are triggered by what beliefs which they hold. And then targeting, helping them understand those beliefs, and breaking down any negative beliefs which they have. Restructuring, helping them to restructure their thought. All this will help them to interpret, help them to manage their stress. Not only that, see, once I stop indulging these thoughts, once I stop living in these negative thoughts in my mind, I will start to pay attention to what is happening in the environment around me. So if you are also teaching them attention retraining techniques such as grounding techniques are used. So you help them to retrain their attention, make them understand that it is within their power to, that they don't have to catch this train of thought. Okay, it's their choice, that they can focus their attention on something else in the environment. Once they start to focus their attention on in the environment, pay attention to what is happening around them, they'll not have memory problems. I hope have been able to answer.
Ma'am, the question was how to self. If it is cognitive, the thought itself is we are unable to think. So if it is on self, how to cope up in that kind of situation? Self coping mechanism, how we can apply if stress affects us in a cognitive way, like like thought and taking a poor decision and fearful anticipation. What will happen? I have not written the answer well. Now, do I get the first rank or do I lose the success rate what I have achieving till now, or whether I will be a good person, good mother, a good daughter-in-law? These kind of thoughts,
That is what
like
I'm
self
telling you.
things.
So these thoughts are what is triggering stress, isn't it? And see, you
For
need to
self,
understand. Yeah, for self also, I'm telling you. See, what happens is that you cannot stop any thought. Okay, we cannot stop our thoughts. If somebody tells you they will help you to learn or teach you how to stop thoughts, that is a lie, because we don't bring our thoughts. Okay, what is your name?
Usha, ma'am.
Yeah, Usha. If I ask you to not to think about an elephant, what will happen?
Immediately that picture will
You will think
flash
about
me.
elephant, or you will, what you will do, you'll force yourself to tell to yourself in your mind, don't think about
Not to
elephant, don't
think.
go there, don't this. So what you're doing, you're actually practicing at it. Okay, so the more you will try to stop thinking about anything, okay, you're actually practicing more at it, so the thought will come more and more. So thought stopping, once upon a time they used to use this technique as thought stopping, but the latest research shows that thought stopping, we cannot stop our thoughts. Why? Because we don't bring up the thoughts, they just pop up. Okay, so if I ask you, Usha, now sit and start thinking, not possible. We cannot, I cannot just, okay, now I'll sit and start thinking. It is not possible. Okay, so the thoughts, they come up based on so much of information which is collected through our senses. In a day, million bits of information gets collected. Okay, so and our memories, things or situations, so based on that information, memories, what has happened to us, past, present, thoughts, they keep popping up. So what happens is that when the thoughts, so I have not started the thoughts. That's what I'm telling you. We cannot stop because we have not started the thoughts. They just pop up. So what is in our hand? What is in our hand is, do I pay attention to this thought or not? We need to understand that thoughts are not facts. They are not facts. Just because I have a thought, it doesn't make it into a fact. And thoughts are not you. So if I have a thought, that does not define me. Okay, so in a day I'll be having different thoughts. We will be having good thought, bad thought, silly thought, philosophical thought. So all these thoughts, they will come and go, they'll keep popping up. So but what is in our hand is which thought to pay attention to. So if you only focus on thoughts which are anxious, where you are continuously worrying or you're indulging a thought, then that thought will not go away, because you are paying attention. So if you pay a lot of attention to a guest, what will happen? The guest will stay, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is how you need to behave with your thought. That you need to understand the thoughts, they just keep popping up. And if I continuously, a thought will pop up. You just said, what if I don't get good marks? A thought just popped up. You wrote an exam, you came, and your thought popped up. What if I will not get good marks? A thought just popped up. But so it popped up, so we are aware of it. Yeah, what if I don't get good marks? And immediately answer and say, okay, fine, if I don't get good marks, maybe I'll write, you know, improvement for it, or this is, what can I do? I prepared this much, so I will get whatever marks I can get. And you just let it go. Then there ends the matter. But instead of that, if you catch hold of the thought, what if I will get good bad marks, and these bad marks will, like, spoil my percentage, then I will not get good rank. And then if I don't get good rank, then what will my family think of me? I wanted to finish this course, and then what will other people will think about me? And like that, understand, one thought caught hold of it, and then you started to run with it. So what will happen, the way you are interpreting, the way you are catching hold, the way your thoughts are going, that will trigger, your thought will trigger same similar emotions. So if you are interpreting something as a negative to you, getting bad marks will be the end of the world for me, what will people think about me, my life is over, I will not be able to manage anything, this is what I do, I always do this to myself. So I caught that thought, and I started to indulge it. The moment I started to indulge it, and I started to believe that thought, that getting bad marks is the end of the world for me, it will trigger similar emotions. That is, I'll get anxious, I'll be stressed out. Okay, so that will again influence my behavior. So what you need to do with the thought is, the moment they pop up, there is no rule written that you have to catch hold of every thought and indulge it. Mind cannot do two things at one time, I told. So when these thoughts they come, acknowledge that, okay, yeah, that is what it is. Okay, what if I don't get good marks? It's all right. It's all right. If you answer back, and then you maintain that positivity and say, like, I'm not going to worry about it. What will happen? Nobody has been born with the power to look into future. So what will happen tomorrow will happen. I'll be able to manage it. Today I'm not going to worry about it. And then you go and then focus somewhere your attention in the environment, and don't indulge that. If you're not going to indulge that thought, it will not trigger the emotions. Got it? Or you got confused what I told you?
No, ma'am. Actually, I got it. But my question was, if the stress is itself is impacting the thought process, so these thought process will never get into the positive stress. So it will always turn into the negative stress.
See, when you are under stress, one is, like, we will try to change the situation. Okay, what do we do with stressors? One is, if something or somebody is triggering stress in me, I will try to avoid that person. That is the first step I will do. If that avoidance is not possible, then I will try to adapt to the situation, or first I'll try to change the situation. If that situation is, I cannot change the situation, then third thing is, I will try to adapt myself, try to adjust myself to that situation. Okay, and if that is not possible, then the fourth step, what we in adaptation, what we say is that, maybe the intensity, the exposure which you will have with that situation, maybe you'll try to minimize that. Okay, and if there is something problematic, you need to use some problem solving strategies. So those problem solving strategies you can use to change the situation, to do something about it. So solution focused approach you can use rather than emotion focused approach, wherein, like, you experience helplessness, hopelessness. Rather than that, like, you try to focus on the problem and try to find a solution, try to solve the problem. If solving problem is not within your hand, it's not possible. For example, like, let's take this as pandemic only. All of us are trying our best, but the ultimate solution is not in our hands. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to adapt to it, isn't it? So adapting to a stressor, first is we avoid the stressor, then our second step is we do something about it. We use a problem focused, solution focused strategy. And if that is also not possible, then third is we try to adapt ourselves to it. These are the ways in which we manage stress. Still not answered your question?
Yeah, it's very, very clear, Kiran. You have put it in a very easily students can understand. And I have one small doubt, Kiran.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you can answer this, I'll be happy. So they see we are talking about stress, some stressor causing us stress. So what if multiple stresses cause stress? We often face this situation where, for example, you take the work life causes a lot of stress, and then at home also our children getting ill, or so many other things. They will be, we will be sometimes situations crop up where the balancing will become very difficult. So in such situations, multiple stresses will be acting on us. So how is there any research on this multiple stresses, and how they impact, and how to
See,
uh,
multiple stressors, that is a very important question, ma'am, because see, when we try to assess stress in a person, so what we the scoring which we do is, it's based on like how many stressful events this person has experienced in a year. So if a person has experienced more number of events, then his stress levels will be high. So see, we all of us try to adapt to a stress, but if a person experiences multiple stressful events, then it's like linked to this general adaptation syndrome only, ma'am. The body will try its best to tap its physiologically it will try to cope, psychologically it will try to cope. But continuous experiencing stress, continuous events can lead to a stage of exhaustion in a person. That is why we experience burnout, especially in women, like especially in working women. Burnout is experienced because they are working, and then in the house also they're coming back, and then they're managing children and the household. So nowadays burnout is also on high because of this continuous stress from multiple sources. So there is a lot of research which has been going on, and research has also proven that the more number of stress, the more number of events a person experiences, the more liable he is to experience burnout, and which will also trigger health related conditions and also psychological burnout. So that is very important. And what can you do about it? So self care is very important in this. So you become aware of the stressors in your life and try to, as I said, use triple A, like, try to avoid the stressor. Cannot avoid it, at least try to change the situation. Cannot change the situation, then try to adapt to it. And building up your resilience. A lot of research has been shown, the more resilient you are, the more easily you will be able to manage your stress. So resilience is a word which has been taken from science. So it's a capacity. It's a capacity of see the rubber band. However much you stretch a rubber band, the moment you release the tension, it comes back to its original state. So resilience is that capacity in a person who is able to adapt to his situations, who is able to takes care of himself, asks for help, is not rigid in his attitude, is flexible in his attitude. So and uses all the stress management techniques, like resilience is something which is a core ability. If a person and this resilience can be cultivated by increasing your social circle, taking care of your physical health, taking care of your what I can say is like self-care is very important, and then having a very optimistic attitude about life, having a positive concept about self. So all these things will increase resilience in a person. So resilience is however much ups and downs will go on in your life, however much life will throw at you, you will bounce back from that. So yes, true. The more number of stress you will experience from the number of resources, different resources, the more liable you are to have burnout. But if you take care of yourself, if you take care of your body, your mental health, then you will develop this capacity of resilience, and then where you will be able to bounce back from these events. Consciously taking care of self. I hope I've answered, ma'am.
Thank you,
Yes,
Kiran.
ma'am.
Yes,
And
yes.
ma'am, good evening,
Yeah,
ma'am.
thank you so much,
Yeah.
Kiran. And I think Trupti
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Uh,
has
ma'am,
raised her hand.
yeah, ma'am, if
Go on, Trupti.
yeah,
Good evening.
if there is a tragic incident in one's life or a traumatic event in one's life, would you recommend that the person speaks about it or suppresses those feelings within and try to deal with it by themselves?
See what you're talking about is acute stress reaction. So that is also part of it's a stress reaction. But see, when a person experiences trauma, the first thing which he experiences is an acute stress reaction. And if that person does not seek help, does not go for counseling or some sort of psychological help, and speaking about it is very, very important. Okay, so if the person suppresses it, then that acute stress reaction can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, because you cannot suppress. See, and however much you want to suppress your memories, there are ways, unconscious has ways of bringing it forth. So such a person, if a person who's had a traumatic experience will experience have experience stress reactions such as, like, panic attacks. The person will also have flashbacks, startled responses, and will not be able to, like, have very what I can say, nightmares, will experience nightmares. So the unconscious has its ways of uh, coming out. So suppressing is never ever recommended. It's not healthy, both physiologically and even mentally. Suppressing of anything traumatic which you have experienced is not good. So talking it out, bringing it forth and exploring is very critical in especially when you have experienced something traumatic.
So basically, suppression can lead to triggers.
Yeah, you are suppressing, but it unconscious has ways of it comes out and expresses itself in terms of, like, very vivid memories. I'm sorry, very vivid dreams. The person will have nightmares, or startled responses would be even a small sound in the environment will make that person go into flashback. Flashbacks are, like, if they have shown that, war veterans, uh, uh, they show these acute stress reactions because what they've undergone is very traumatic, and especially rape victims also. So any sound can trigger a startled response or a flashback. Flashback is they will go back in the memories. They will experience that even in life.
So reliving the same.
Exactly. They'll
Okay.
relive the event continuously. So they have to go for a therapy.
Okay. Ma'am, another question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Not everyone may be able to diagnose that they're going through stress and they have to seek help. So the initial few may recognize the symptoms and, as you've mentioned earlier, talk themselves out of a situation. So this is causing me stress. This is how I can calm myself, and I have to put myself out of this situation. But few may need years of therapy to reach a comfort zone. But how do we get to the point where we realize that this is this and we need help?
See,
This is our reality.
so you are asking how does a person gain that understanding that
Yeah.
he needs or she needs help.
Yeah.
So it's when that, the severity of stress reactions. See, we cannot diagnose a person as having, see, stress means what? See, when it comes to treatment or therapy, when we talk about stress, we're actually talking about anxiety disorders.
Yeah.
Okay, so anxiety disorders are only diagnosed if there are some physiological symptoms, are they have to be present. That criteria have to be satisfied. So many of the disorders See, the moment a person experiences anxiety, he or she also experiences physiological symptoms. That is, heartbeat will increase, breathing will get affected. She will start to, tremble or sweat. So there will be different physiological responses. So depending upon the severity of anxiety, so at a milder level, people will try to able to cope up. But if that anxiety starts to interfere with their everyday life, for example, OCD.
Yeah.
So in the initial stages of OCD, even the family member will adjust themselves to the other person's OCD. But then slowly, steadily, this OCD will start to take over the person's whole life. Every area of his life will start to get affected. So the severity and the frequency, these are the two things which will trigger a person to seek help. If the severity is increasing, or the frequency of the symptoms are increasing, frequency of those behaviors are increasing, then the person will seek help.
Okay. So
Okay.
OCD is
So panic
definitely
attacks.
related. Okay. OCD
Yeah.
is definitely related to stress.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
OCD comes under anxiety disorders. So
Okay.
anxiety disorders are different types, like phobias, you have panic disorders, you have generalized anxiety. Under generalized anxiety, here the anxiety is free floating. The person is constantly worrying about everything, even small things like, taking an auto.
Oh.
If he or she has to take an auto tomorrow, he or she will start to worry from today itself, or has to attend a function, then start to worry from today itself. Cannot take decisions. So that is generalized anxiety. There will be phobias, there will be panic disorders are there. Then we have PTSD, then we have OCD. OCD now has become, they have made OCD into a spectrum in itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So I
ma'am.
hope I've answered. So there are two things which will prompt a person to seek help. One is severity and the frequency. If these two start to increase, then and slowly, steadily start to take over their whole life, they will definitely go and seek help. And you said for years, no. Anxiety disorders can be treated very beautifully with cognitive behavior therapy, and you will typically you can start to see changes in a person after 3 months or 4 months. So within a year's time, the person will be able to manage his anxiety disorder.
But when a person is in denial, constant mode of denial that he is not suffering with some sort of mental disorder, he will try to avoid taking help for a really long term. That is when it affects.
Insight is very important.
Yeah.
If the person doesn't have the insight, then your prognosis will not be so good. So if family members, they forcefully bring the person for treatment, typically I as a therapist would not be positive about his prognosis, because motivation is very critical in the success of any type of treatment or therapy.
Yeah.
So if the client is motivated and he has an insight that somewhere he is responsible, and he has to do something about the whatever the issues of he's suffering from.
Okay.
Okay, madam, end of this session. This side is Naresh.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kiran, madam. Yeah.
Ma'am, Kiran, ma'am, actually, one of the students.
I got just disconnected. Sorry for this.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Actually, we were discussing, and one of the student has raised a query in the chat box. Like cold also triggered by the stresses, but according to him, it's because of the rhinovirus. So how it is triggering? Stress is triggering as a cold, because this pandemic entirely depending on the cold as a fear factor. So
cold. See, what happens is that when you're under stress, your immune system, slows down. So the body's ability. You're able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Actually, some other person is talking. Kindly, please, others mute. Let ma'am speak, please.
See, we get infections. I think somebody is talking. Okay, so we get infections because of organisms only. That is I'm not disputing that we get infections either through fungal or fungi or bacteria or viruses. I am not disputing that, but what happens is that the severity of infections which you get, okay, that depends upon your immune system. Agree with me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think somebody is talking.
Actually, our host,
Sir.
our host, ma'am.
I think
Sir,
we'll.
it's under recording, sir.
Usha, can we catch up later then?
It's okay. We
will
ma'am,
do
we
that.
are able to listen, right? It's about the other
No,
students' query.
we're
also
not
we
able
are
to listen it clearly. That's the problem.
So I think it's self-explanatory. I am not disputing that stress will lead to cold. What I'm saying is you will be more prone to infections if your immune
Naresh,
system is down.
please mute your.
Okay, so when your immune system is compromised, then you are prone to infections. Okay, so you will be easily able to catch that cold. Understand? If my immune system is very strong and robust, so even if somebody is having a cold in front of me also, sometimes I might catch or I might not catch. If I catch also, the symptoms will be mild. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to tell you. And research has also shown, see, you will tend to get cold infections like this, cold more if your immune system is compromised. And stress compromises your immune system. Okay, so I'm not saying that stress is responsible for cold, but yeah, in some way, because your immune system is compromised, so your organisms will attack you much more easily. So be it a bacterial or a viral or a fungal infection. I hope I've answered that.
Ma'am, it's not just cold, but also cough, right?
Or
Everything, anything.
it's not only cold and cough, stress. Even in other modules, we have learned about the cancer or different
That's
kinds
what
of
I've
things.
told now. There is they have
It's about
found there is a
immune system.
direct link between cardiac problems, cancer. They have found there is a direct link. There is a direct cause between if a person is has undergone a lot of stress, then if your immune system is compromised, then your ability of your body to repair is also compromised, isn't it?
Yeah, ma'am.
So your cell, you will have produced, I mean, whatever cancerous cells are there, they'll get a breeding ground to multiply and attack you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful explanation with lots of patience.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for being patient with my cough.
Ma'am. Ma'am, myself Sarita.
Hello, Sarita.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Ma'am, can I speak to you?
Sure.
Actually, I had a doubt. I raised my hand.
You want to ask any question?
Sorry,
Sarita,
ma'am.
you want to talk?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, tell me.
Actually, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, go on.
Ma'am, actually, I was working till last 3 months.
You can ask the question.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes, Sarita, continue.
Go ahead.
That's
Go
what
ahead.
ma'am is saying. You can ask the question. Please go ahead.
Okay. Actually, ma'am, I was working since last 3. I was working last 3 months ago. Actually, I have resigned my job because of this unbalancement of family and my job. I used to get at 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the evening, so I have resigned it. And the main thing is that time management, ma'am. I think I'm prior advance. I'll think about it to achieve it, but somehow on the day when it comes something or the other, it will become late, ma'am. I'm very much tensed inside, but unable to put it on the same day. See, like I have to start my office at 9:30, but still 9:35 I'll be in the home only. The tension within me is there. I wanted to achieve it to start at 9:30, but still something or the other reason I won't. And I can clarify which is important and which is not. But still, at the time of finishing, just before that work starting that time, I'll think that which is not even important, that also I'll think that it is important, let me finish this and then go. How to eradicate that hobby, ma'am? Like,
See, I think Sarita, in one of your units, the stress management, they have talked about time management, and in that, like, they will also be covering about priorities. I mean, how to manage your time properly, and how to, manage task management and all of that. So fastly, I will tell you, because I don't want to, like, this will already, I think, Saroj ma'am, this will be covered, isn't it? Time management and stress management techniques. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, in sixth one.
Yeah.
Sixth
So
module,
Sarita,
we are
fast, I will tell you in 2 minutes.
I'm sorry, ma'am, if I'm troubling you, because I'm just completed 3 modules. That is why
Okay.
I was
I'll
not
tell you.
aware of.
I'll tell you. I think you're okay. So see, time management is very important, and that is where you are struggling, and you are also struggling with prioritizing your tasks.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
you need to understand, Sarita, that people who do things on time, they don't get 25 or 26 hours, and you are not okay. So all of us are doing people who are completing their task or able to manage like house and work
Yes, ma'am.
those 24 hours only. So what is
Yes.
the difference? Difference is you are wasting. There are what we do is when we are struggling with time management, the first thing which you need to do is assess yourself and find out where am I wasting my time. Because the difference between you and people who do the work on time is time waste. They don't waste time, and you waste a lot of time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how do you go about wasting your time? Wasting your time would be first example only you gave, that things which are not important, I in my mind I think that is important, and I waste my time over there.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
is, you have to prioritize your task. So first step is like, how do you prioritize your task? There are various techniques. One of the technique would be, before going to bed, make a list of all the things which you are supposed to do tomorrow. Okay. And then in that list, then what you do is split that list into something which is the most important items in the list, and something which can be like, so very, very important. Then second set would be items which are important, and third would be the just important.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
you shuffle the list and prioritize. The first thing which you will cover is something which requires your immediate attention,
Okay.
and you have to follow that list and stick to the list. Even if your mind starts to pop up with the thought like, oh, can I do this, or I have to do this? No, you have to listen to the list. Okay. In that, what list you have made, in that list, where you have to like order your list according to something which has to be done, must be done, should be done, can be done, like that. Okay. So the something which can be done has to be put in the last of the list. Okay. Put them in the last. And something which is must be done should go on top of the list. Like that, you reshuffle the list and then follow it accordingly. And second thing which you need to do is wasting of time. Okay. So first you have to observe yourself for a week. Where do I go about wasting my time? Simplest example would be, okay, I'll give you my example.
Okay.
So what will happen is, I'll give you example is in the evening when I'm returning to my home, I look at my car and then I see that there is petrol is on the empty. But because I'm returning, what do I do? Okay, I'll fill it up tomorrow. And now I'm tired. I want to go home. Okay. So what happens? I don't fill up the petrol, and then I go to my home thinking that tomorrow I will get up, and I will while going to my office, I will fill up my petrol. But what happens? I cannot control tomorrow. Nobody can look into future. Okay. So next day, what happened? My servant maid won't come, or I will get up 10 minutes late.
Okay.
Now I am rushing around. Understand? Now I'm rushing around and getting things done because maid does not come. My son suddenly remembers some assignment and I'm rushing around. So I'm already late by 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So now this, I could have taken that in the night. I could have taken, even if I'm tired, if I had just, taken those 10 minutes to fill up the petrol in the morning, because I cannot predict what happens in the next day. Now I'm running around, and this also gets added to my stress. Now I have to, and the moment I get into my vehicle, I see, oh my God, I don't have petrol and I'm now running late for my session.
Okay.
Understand? One
Okay.
more example I can give you would be, while coming to my home, I just, everything has to be put in its place. If I don't put things on in their place, the next day, example would be, I came to my home and then I just, instead of putting my keys in their proper place, I just threw the keys. And because I was very tired, I did not pay attention where I threw the keys. Okay. And I don't remember now where the keys are. Next morning, I'm already late because of maid and this and that. Now I'm running around searching for my keys. So I'm wasting so much of time to search for those keys. I could have just, even if I was tired, if I had a proper place to keep the keys, and even if I am dead tired also, I make a rule that I put my keys there in that place. What will happen next day? I will find where they are. So like that, what we do is small things. So we end up, when we don't pay attention and we don't, prioritize things, or we don't, put things, everything has to, should be in their place. Everything should have a place and a play, and it should be kept in that place. If you don't take time out and then do some sort of a homework beforehand, next day we'll end up wasting a lot of time. So you have to observe yourself where you are wasting time. And definitely, I'm telling you, if you'll start to calculate, you will see 2 to 3 hours you're wasting on unnecessary tasks.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're wasting time when you don't pay attention and put things in their places. Everything should have their place in house and also in office. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, this has happened, and this was happening before leaving my job also, because I have to. I think that I have to help my mother-in-law and then have to leave the house. Then by the time it is always 5 minutes late as usual, and then after while traveling, I'll think that I would have not done this. Likewise, I will think. And
so
if
that is something to do with assertiveness also. Excuse me.
Okay.
We all of us have disease to please. We don't like to say no.
That is what, ma'am.
Okay, so you have to excuse me, overcome this disease to please. And when I say this disease, overcome this disease to please, you have to be assertive. You don't have to be aggressive. Learn to say no in a very polite and firm manner. Learn to speak up for yourself, because when we don't speak up for ourselves, it not only affects our life, it also affects us psychologically. When we don't say no, we get angry at ourselves also. We are not happy with ourselves. Correct or not?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not happy with my behavior. I wanted to change, and I'll prioritize the things, and I'll make up a list for just say, like, make it as a habit for making it for 21 days, and I'll try very hard till 17th day or 18th day, and these 3 days I won't be doing it. That is what the biggest problem in me. I'll think that I wanted to change myself, but it doesn't mean that I'm not working on it, and I'm really working on it. But still, end of the while when I'm receiving the fruits, at that time I lose my interest. That is what great mistake is happening at my end. What if you suggest me anything so that I can
See, we human beings, we don't like change. We resist change.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have to overcome that part of ourselves. Even when we know that my behavior or whatever is going on is bad for me, I'm not happy because of it, we still resist change.
Actually, Actually, I'm very glad that the students have interacted very well in this session, and more than that, our resource person has patience, I should say, and with great lot of patience and explained each and every concept to our learners. Thank you very much, Kiran. Actually,
Thank you,
this session is
thank you.
supposed to be of 1 hour duration, but now we have crossed 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Also, we have crossed, and I'm sure if I leave it to the students, they will go on asking questions. And also,
Madam, I think Saroja madam voice is not clear.
Yes,
some
ma'am, because ma'am is saying that
psychological
if
counseling
ma'am
also
leaves on us,
in
we are
this
going
session
to
itself.
go
But
on extend this session because we will not.
we are constrained that they should ask questions that are related to the topic. And I thank you, Kiran, for sparing your time for our learners and clarifying most of their doubts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kiran.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you to all of you participants. You have been a very enthusiastic audience, and also bearing with my cough and my health.
Okay, thanks.
So,
Ma'am, you've been more than
Thank
patient with us, ma'am. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
We're happy to interact
Thank you
with
so much.